Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am KD Smooth. Today we will question and challenge popular information and views from a B1 perspective, while we expose the real facts you need. We do this to strengthen your logical, critical, and discerning thinking skills. Because in today's world, hard choices are mandatory and they come with consequences. So you need all the information. And at One Brothas Mind, we do this from a B1 Yeshua the Christ followers perspective. Now, if you're not ready, you better get ready with Katie Smooth at One Brothas Mind. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Katie Smooth coming back at you with a new report. I pray you all are doing well. Family, I just wanted to do a quick report in regards to this recent mass shooting that has occurred with our brother, Mr. Ezekiel Kelly. It's still very early in the investigation, so there's not a lot of information that has come out yet. So we're still awaiting more information if some becomes available. But in the meantime, the mayor of Memphis had a few things to say. And today, family, we're going to focus on what the mayor had to say in response to this situation. Before we get started, family, remember to hit the like button, share the One Brothas Mind report on all your social media, and be sure to be subscribed if you appreciate the content here at One Brothas Mind, because we try to provide you with the information and facts you need. Okay? All right. So we're going to dig in here, and before we get started, off top, a couple of things. One, I want to express my condolences to all of the people that were hurt in any way by this situation, by this crime. This was insane. Of course, I do not condone in any way, shape, or form Ezekiel's behavior and his actions. They're criminal, and he was, according to last reports, arrested and will have his day in court. Okay? And I can't see no way for him to get out of this from not going to jail at the very least. He going to jail, y'all, forever. I was going to say for a long time. No, forever. All right, they're going to be sure of that at the very least. Okay, so that's clear. Again, it's wrong. What he did was wrong. It's satanic. All of that. Okay, so people that, listeners that y'all don't really agree with what I'm going to focus on this evening with this report, miss me with all that. All right, we're on the same page with that. Okay, but I'm going to share some information with you in this report this evening that also must be highlighted. Okay, all right, so let's go on into it here. Here we go. Yeah. What this report is going to focus on, as you see on your screen, is the mayor of Memphis on your screen. And he had a press conference, and we're going to look at whether or not what his response was in this press conference. Was it a righteous response, or was it actually satanic and racist? Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to share just a clip of this report from the Memphis mayor's response with you, and I'm gonna just play the clip straight through. Okay? And then afterwards, we're gonna come back and chop it up, and I'm gonna explain what's actually happening in this report. But without further ado, let's get into this report. And again, we'll come back afterwards and chop it up.
This is no way for us to live, and it is not acceptable. The people of our city were confronted with the type of violence no one should have to face. Ezekiel Kelly was charged with criminal attempted first-degree murder, but pled guilty in April of 2021 to the lesser charge of aggravated assault. He was sentenced to 3 years, but only served 11 months in prison and was released on March 16, 2022, less than 6 months ago. These evil actions show why truth in sentencing is a must, and we should do all we can to make our city safe. We should not be terrorized by anyone who wants to strike fear in our hearts and take away what we love about Memphis.
Okay, family, we're going to pause it right there. All right. Yeah. Family. Y'all heard what he said. I'm not going to play the whole clip because I don't want to get a YouTube strike. But let's discuss what you just heard. What you just heard, family, may initially have sounded as a normal response. Reasonable. But I'm going to show you how it was actually full of lies. It was satanic. It was targeted. And it was full of racism. You say, where? How? Stay with me. I'm going to show you right now. This response from the Memphis mayor is what's called dog whistle speak. It is a form of communication where it sounds like it's for everyone initially, but it's only intended for a specific audience. And in this case, it's for the white audience, white citizens. And I'm going to show you. This has been going on since forever. Ever since, I'd say, about midway through or at the end of the civil rights movement, when blatant racism began to have negative repercussions for white people, white politicians, white authorities. When they would be or speak blatantly racist stuff, they started to get into trouble for that. So they developed this dog whistle speak as a means of being able to communicate with whom they specifically are targeting, but also at the same time, it not being fully obvious what they're saying, how it's racist, and who they are speaking to. But I'm going to show you. It's a classic example. All right. So let's get on into it again here one more time. We're going to go into this video, y'all, and I'm going to show you. And I'm going to pause. I'm going to break it down to you as we go through it. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's try this again. Get this in the right spot.
From this senseless murder rampage. I am angry. I am angry for them, and I'm angry for our citizens who had to shelter in place for their own safety until this suspect was caught. This is no way for us to live.
Okay, right there, he's spot on. Every regular, normal person, no matter their race, creed, or culture, or whatever, agrees with what he just said. This first segment, these first couple of words, we all agree with you. I agree with you. But then he starts the dog whistling. Okay? And I'm gonna break it down for you. As we're gonna chop this up here real quick. All right, here we go.
And it is not acceptable.
Again, we agree.
The people of our city were confronted with the type of violence no one should have to face.
All right. It has begun. The dog whistling has begun. Okay. You're going, well, what you talking about? How can you say that? Well, first off, that sounded like it was a general statement, but it was not. When you review this, and that's why I showed you this portion of his response without disruption first. When you review his whole response, okay, you understand that he's trying, at least he knows exactly what he's doing, but he's making it sound like he's responding to the community, to everyone in the community, but he's not. When he said the people in this community, he was not referring to everyone in the community. He was referring to the white citizens because this was a black mass shooter. You say, well, how do you know that? How do you know that? Because when you review his whole response, show me where mayors, governors, the police, whoever, show me where they have this same response and say these same things that this mayor said when the mass shooters have been white. Show me. I mean, you may think that's what you heard, but go back and look at the responses. Many of them are still on YouTube. They didn't have this response that I just played for you without disruption, as well as what we're chopping up here. When it's a masked white shooter, this is just sad. This is terrible. We're praying for everybody. Everybody stay safe and we out. They're gone. Little stuff like that. They don't go into what he goes into in regards to laws being reformed, sentencing, gun control. They only do that stuff when it's a so-called black mass shooter. Okay? You may find one or two little sprinkles of responses historically from mayors or governors, from be extremely rare. Okay? Let's continue. Again, he's dog whistling. He's actually speaking to the white community as well as those who identify as white here in the U.S. When he says we, when he says our community, the people, whatever little terms like that, that's who he's actually dog whistling to. Okay? Here we go.
Ezekiel Kelly was charged with criminal attempted first-degree murder, but pled guilty in April of 2021 to the lesser charge of aggravated assault. He was sentenced to 3 years, but only served 11 months in prison.
Stop right there. Okay. That is a lie. He just lied to y'all. The mayor of Memphis literally just told y'all a lie. Okay? The truth is, yes, Ezekiel Elliott had did that previous crime and pled down to a lesser charge. That part is true. But the part that he lied about is the part where he says he only served 11 months in jail. That is a bold-faced lie, and it's you. Let me say this. It's a bold-faced lie. I almost started cussing there. And the truth is, Ezekiel Elliott was in jail, arrested and put in jail for that previous crime. And he actually was in jail approximately 2 years, or a little bit more, I believe, according to reports. He was in jail or lockup for a little more than 2 years before he got his actual trial or day in court for that previous crime. So when they went to sentence him for that previous crime, they sentenced him to 3 years, but he only served the remaining 11 months because the 11 months after his sentencing, plus the 2.5 almost years that he was in jail prior to his sentencing, altogether equals the 3 years. That's what they do that all often. If someone is arrested and they don't get out, they don't bail out, when they get to trial and they get to sentencing, they're convicted, they're sentenced, and whatever the time frame of the sentence, they subtract usually the previous time in jail as time served. But this Memphis mayor dude didn't tell you that. He's lying to you to try to further instigate and make white people and people who identify as white, because that's who he's really talking to, try to piss them off more. Okay? He's trying to get more votes from them. He's trying to do a lot of stuff. Trying to show he's tough and he's withstanding with them. When he says people, when he says us, when he says community, when he says America, or whatever terms he's using, they're dog whistle words. He's talking to white people and people who identify as white. Okay? And again, one of the primary ways you know when the dog whistling is occurring is they start dropping in lies in whatever it is that they're saying, which I just revealed to you. Okay? Let's continue.
And was released on March 16, 2022, less than 6 months ago. These evil actions.
Okay, again, he did not explain to you the truth that I just explained to you. Ezekiel had been in jail for the total 3 years of his sentence. Most of it as time served prior to his trial. Now he's switching because he has zero intent. He's doing this on purpose, as I said before. He's doing this on purpose. That's what people who want to try to win you over to their side or their view, they never tell you the full story. They never tell you the truth. They don't want you to know the full information. Because if you know all the information, like I just shared with you about Ezekiel's time in jail, it changes. It proves that they're a liar. And then once you know that they are a liar, you know not to believe anything else that they've said. Right? That this is a individual doing this, but this is the American way. You know, they're doing the same thing. That's why I'm not going to go off on it, but that's why there's this so-called war on wokeness and so-called war on critical race theory in schools that's not taught in schools and high schools and K through 12. They don't want kids to know the full truth. In fact, the full truth about racism and slavery and things in America has never been taught. But again, I'm going to leave that alone because that's a long another rabbit hole. Okay, here, again, the tactic is to take a piece of the truth, use it, and lie to you with just a piece. Okay, just like rat poison. There's a little bit of regular food, but and then it's mixed with the poison. Okay? All right, let's continue.
Show why truth in sentencing is a...
Ain't that about none. He actually put the word truth in there. But that's another psychological trick, you know, to help when you're talking, you use certain words that resonate to try to. He put the word, basically what I'm saying is he put the word truth in his statement here to try to subconsciously and subliminally get the listeners to what he's saying to further believe that what he's saying is true. It's an old trick, but let's continue.
A must. And we should.
Let me back it up a little bit.
These evil actions show why truth in sentencing is a must. And we should do all we can to make our city safe.
Okay. Truth in sentencing. I just told you the lie that he's used. He did it on purpose. Now he takes a lie to try to use that to say we need to make changes to the law. We need to make the laws in sentencing harsher or be what they are, what they're supposed to be. Again, Ezekiel Elliott served his whole sentence. He was in jail for right at 3 years, according to his sentence. Part of it was time served before his trial. The last 6 months was the remaining time of his sentence. But he switched from truth, the little trick word. Now he's talking about safety. Truth and safety, both subliminal propaganda to get the people listening to believe what he's talking about is truthful. And he's only talking about making sure everybody's safe. BS. What he's doing is satanic, and he's doing it on purpose. And he knows it. And the people behind him know it as well, or they're conspiring with it. Because you got black people standing behind this devil. Okay? At best, they're afraid to leave or say, no, I'm not standing in support of this, because they feel they'll lose their jobs. Because what they should be doing, by this point, definitely, they should have already done their own research and know what I've just explained to you. Right? And when they heard him at this point, if that's me standing behind him, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm walking out. Right? I'm not man, please. You're going to see a look on my face and I'm out. And I don't care if that cost me my job. It shouldn't matter. Okay? Now, again, a statement that we all agree with. You see how he's mixing it up? He mixes it up with general statements, a lie, a couple subliminal programming words. Now he's back on safety, and we all should not be terrorized. Do you see that? Let's continue.
Anyone who wants to strike fear in our hearts and take away what we love about Memphis.
Fear in our hearts. He purposely put the words anyone just before he said fear in our hearts to trick you, to get you to believe that he's talking about everyone. He's not. He's dog whistling to white people and people who identify as white when he said the word our. This is an old trick, y'all. This ain't nothing new. But especially for my young listeners, if y'all not familiar with this, this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this report. Okay? So y'all can develop the discernment to be able to hear this and know when it's happening going forward. Let's continue.
We must unite around this principle.
What I just tell you, we, who is he talking to? Talking to white people and people who identify as white. He's dog whistling. It sounds like he's talking to everyone. He is not. He's basically calling for I forgot what they used to call them things back in after slavery times when, you know, the militia groups, he's a lynch mob. We got to unite. That's what most white people hearing what he's saying. That's what they're hearing. Yeah, we got to get them. In fact, if y'all paid attention to this crime as it was happening, I know I did. I went and searched through several live reports. I listen to everybody. I don't just listen to one sided, because you always got to listen to all viewpoints to put together what's all really happening. And there was some live reports about what was happening here in Memphis on the right wing side. Okay. And I gave them their fair time. I listened to them as well. So white listeners, stop it. I heard what y'all was talking about. All right. Most of the white right wing live stream reports, most of those reports, those people was talking about while it was happening before the police found it. And it was like, hey, you know, if you're a citizen, there's no laws against you. If you see this guy, there's no laws against you just taking him out. I mean, you're protecting everybody else. You know, they were saying they were dog whistling even more on the white ring live stream reports. They was like, go get him. That's what they were saying. They didn't say that. They didn't say those words, but they was like, get your guns and go get him. Go delete this guy. That's what they were saying. Now, here's a question. Do they do those same type of reports when the mass shooter is a white person or someone who identifies as white? Nope. There's your answer. No. Hell no. They don't even do any news reports on. No live streams. Definitely not. But oh boy, when it finally is those rare occasions where it's a black dude, y'all we gotta help the citizenry. We if you see this guy, you run into him, help out the community. Delete him. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Y'all, this is anyway. Let's continue.
And stand up to the challenge of violent crime in our city. If Mr. Kelly served his full 3-year sentence, he would still be in prison today.
Lie number 2. What did I just tell y'all? I just explained he did serve his full 3-year sentence. He did. So now he's doubling down on his lie. Okay, let me back it up a little bit. All right, here we go.
Would still be in prison today, and 4 of our fellow citizens would still be alive. Thank you to the state legislature.
All right, he goes on and on, doing more of his little political part at this point. But y'all should y'all should now understand what this mayor is doing in his response to this crime. Again, I do not condone, stand with in any way what Ezekiel Elliott did, unless there's some kind of reports that comes out and says the people that he shot and deleted somehow, they were all ex-co-workers that used to, do something bad to him, which is most likely not gonna happen because he was doing this, or appeared to be doing this, randomly. So again, what Ezekiel did was satanic, especially it being random and not in self-defense in any way. But also, what this mayor is saying is satanic. Okay? So, yeah, let's continue here. So, couple more things that I need you guys to understand. On your screen here on your left, this is just the list of mass shootings. There's like 54 here in 2022, this year. So far, we've already had this many. And now you add Ezekiel, and there was a couple more here that just happened in the last like 4 to 6 weeks, or let's say 8 weeks since this map was put out, or there's been more. Just get the point. All right. And I'm thinking it's been about 8 weeks because Katie Smooth lives in Indianapolis, and the guy did at the mall, at our Greenwood Park Mall, it's identified on this map. So I know this map is pretty recent because of that. Okay. But yeah, people out here crazy, y'all. All right. Now, there's 4 points that I want you to understand. I want everybody to understand, including my white listeners, okay? Number 1, most mass shooters in the U.S. are white or identify as white. Any report you see in any other kind of way to try to say it's black people, whatever, first you have to identify what qualifies as a mass shooter. And I believe the definition is 3 or more people. Hold on. Well, I'm gonna just leave that alone. Yeah, let me do it. I can do it. I believe that. Let me look up the definition right quick here. I believe the definition is 3 or more shooters. I want to get this right. Hold on. I want to get this right for you. I want to get this right for you. Let's see here. What does it say? I want to lock this down here. And it may take me a second here. All right, mass shooter definitions. Okay, The term mass shooter is defined as the deleter has deleted 4 or more people with no cooling off period. That was defined by Congress in 2013. Okay, as being the deleter and the people that were deleted. Okay, that's Congress's definition, not Katie Smooth. All right. So once you identify what a mass shooter is, then that's where you get maps like this, and that's just a statistical fact. Okay, there's others out there, especially on the right wing. They've done their own maps and own reports, and they try to they try to smush in a whole bunch of more black people or crimes committed by black people as mass shooters, but that is not, they don't fit the congressional definition that I just shared with you. Okay? Number 2. Most of the time when you hear whether it's a president, governors, mayors, senators, whatever you want to call them, when you hear them start talking about law reform, sentencing reform, gun control, especially the right-wing ones, but not only them, it's really any of them. When any of them start mentioning those words in their response, in their press conference, they only do it when they are focusing on rare black mass shooters. They do not do that. They do not say these things and talk about these things and emphasize legal reforms and gun control and sentencing and the parole problems that they feel are problems and things of that nature. They don't focus on those things when the mass shooters are white or identify as white. Typically, they usually go, oh, there may be some mental health issues here that maybe needed to be addressed, or we gotta help people. We gotta just treat everybody good. You know, they be real bland when it's white mass shooters, but when it's a black dude, you get this response from your boy, okay? Or this type of response. Number 3. Again, like I just told you, typically their response is white shooters have some sort of mental health issue and we got to do a better job with mental health, or they have a troubled, and I got finger quotes here, a troubled history without previous arrest or intervention. Do your research. Pull up the most recent 10, 20 mass shootings. They're all this year. Pull them up. Most of them, you'll see when you look into the history of the shooter, you're going to see them, if they're white or identify as white, you're going to see them mentioned in the news reports, in the information reports, some sort of mental health concern or issue, or some other troubled history where they got in trouble. They did some things, but they never got arrested and convicted of the crimes that they previously did. They kept getting a pass. They kept getting let out, get parole, just get it brushed under the rug if they were white or identify as white, right? But of course, when it's black people or a black person that does a mass shooting, like in this case, Ezekiel had a past criminal history. Well, what is it that makes the difference? Because we live in racist United States of America, and black people get arrested and charged with crimes and thrown in jail that are completely innocent. In America, white people commit crimes at the same rate as black people in America, but most white people are not arrested. They're not therefore given a criminal record. Their stuff is just brushed off. Oh, it's okay. Go on back there. Just don't do it no more. Okay? Stuff like that. And it'll be, if you look into the history of most of the crimes that are committed by white people and people that identify as white, there's a list. And in this case, we're talking about mass shooters. The dude get Uvalde. Y'all saw, they dug into his background. He had a list of mental health issues. The guy that did the shooting here in Indianapolis at the Greenwood Park Mall, he had a history of issues that nothing was done about. No, the police nor his family, nobody did anything about him. There was no intervention. There was no arrest, but he was getting in trouble. There's almost always a history of non-arrest, non-intervention, non-convictions for the white mass shooters. This is being done on purpose because, as I explained, most white people in America that commit crimes, especially young people, they just brush them off. They do everything they can to avoid arresting them and giving them a record, but they do just the opposite for black people. Okay? Point number 4. Black mass shooters are rare. Okay? In general, black mass shooters are rare. It does happen from time to time. There's a black dude doing it, like my man Ezekiel, right? But here's a point that if you don't do your research and pay attention, that you'll miss. Majority of the black mass shooters those shootings are usually a response to some form of systematic racism that the shooter experienced, whether it be on his job from his coworkers or from his bosses, or whether it be he was a military vet and the military was doing him wrong in a systematic racist way, or whether y'all remember the guy Chris Dorner, the ex-police officer. He literally, if you paid attention, he wrote a full manifesto explaining why he was doing what he was doing. His police department completely ruined his professional life as a police officer, as a military vet, and his personal life by firing him and blackballing him. They pushed him in a corner where he felt he had no other options. He did, but he felt he had no other options but to just start deleting cops. Okay? Systematic racism. And his whole ordeal started when he turned in and told the truth on a fellow white officer that was using excessive force on a handicapped person that they were dealing with in regards to an arrest. That's what started the whole Chris Dorner situation, for those of you that don't know. Go read his manifesto if you can find it. Research for it. Look for it. And it was flat out proven as true and corroborated by a few other officers. Yeah, he did go and try to tell and file the documents you need to as a police officer to report wrongdoing by other fellow officers. All that was on record. So it was corroborated. Okay? Same thing like with the brother, I believe it was in some years back in Dallas. I want to say the military brother, the one they sent in the robot with the guns on it to delete him in the parking lot. Same thing with him. He was a military vet and he was having or experiencing some systematic racism that was preventing him from being able to survive, to live his life. That one was quite some time ago. I don't remember all the details to it, but that's the one detail I do remember. And he felt he had other options, but he got to a point where he felt he could not, or he didn't have any other options but to do what he did. You always have other options, okay? You cannot do a mass shooting as another option, okay? But this is what I want you guys to really focus in and understand. And they, again, people like this Memphis mayor, this devil, they can't wait until those rare occasions where a mass shooter is actually a black person, so they can use it to push their political careers further by making speeches like this. Okay? And just like the devil y'all voted in as y'all president, your boy, when he created the crime bill. I think it was in the 80s, early 80s. YouTube, it's still on YouTube. Go search it on YouTube. His speech for the Biden crime bill, and watch him in Congress. He's saying these same types of things. This exact same sentiment. Not the exact same words, but it's the exact same sentiment. And Biden goes all the way in on it. And there you end up with the crime bill, so-called in response to the crack epidemic that has filled the for-profit prison industrial complex here in the U.S. But remember, that was the response to the crack epidemic. People, drug addicts, right? They came up with the 3 strikes and everything, right? Was that the same response that Congress and senators have had with the whole opioid crisis or meth crisis? Because those primarily affect white people. Oh no, it's an addiction. They don't need jail. They need intervention and help and treatment. Let's get us treatment. These prescription opioid drugs and things that people are addicted to, that's not, they need treatment. No, they're a drug addict just like anybody else. Did you see that? Did you know that? Do your research. Okay? So, just a couple quick points, fam, that I wanted to highlight with this satanic devil, with his dog whistling, that he and all those that are of his ilk and mindset, satanic mindset that they do. This is classic. I could have done this in my sleep. This breakdown, man. It's so classic, so obvious, but I really wanted to do this breakdown for my white listeners, as well as for the young black listeners who may not have developed this discernment yet to understand when they're hearing people using dog whistles when they're talking. Okay? All right, y'all. I'm going to leave it there. Again, hit that like button. Definitely hit that like button if you appreciate this content, and share this report on all your social media. And again, be sure that you're subscribed to One Brothas Mind here. And as usual, if YouTube, because they don't want the truth being put out, if YouTube has chopped this report up too bad, and where it's all chopped up, I'll always upstream a cleaner version of the report within a few hours after this report is posted. Okay? So let's chop it up in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all tired of this trick? They still doing the same stuff, man. Ain't y'all tired of it by now? Yeah, Anyway, and this concludes this broadcast for One Brothas Mind. We thank you for joining us. And as a part of the new Black media, B1 choices are mandatory, and being on code is required. But never fear, Yeshua the Christ is with you always. Shalom.